Welcome live feeders to the first official Let's Cook live stream cooking show with me, the Starving Chef. My name is Felicia, and please bear with me as this is the very first time that I have ever done anything like this. So if you have any audio or technical difficulties, please leave a comment in the comment section. That way I can address that issue right off the bat and continue to improve and make this stream better in the future for everyone. My dog is already getting into something the second that I start looking away. So while we're kind of waiting to get started here, give a little bit of background information about myself. The Starving Chef actually started as a college project while I was at school in Ohio University. And from there, it has just blossomed into this crazy fun hobby that I have been doing for about the last year and a half to 2 years. It started kind of as a class project that we had to write about a journey that we were on that summer. And I was learning how to cook, and so I decided that's what I wanted to do my posts about for this class. After the class ended, the blog sort of took a back burner to college and to work and different jobs and such, but it wasn't until 2015 that I decided that I really wanted to start taking it seriously and make it into a more fun hobby to do. So I kind of revamped it, and ever since then I have posted over 300 recipes on thestarvingchefblog.com, and now I want to meet up with you and teach you how to cook everything that I know how to cook. But I'm also kind of hoping that through this sort of open communication that we'll be able to learn to cook together, and maybe I can learn some tips and tricks from you guys as well. So today's recipe is going to be a shrimp pasta with a peppery paprika sauce, but don't worry if you don't like shrimp, because this recipe actually works really well for chicken or beef or tofu or basically any type of meat or vegetable that you want to use. It's definitely not confined to shrimp. The reason that I pick shrimp is because I enjoy shrimp and a lot of other people enjoy shrimp, but if you're allergic to seafood or just don't like shrimp, definitely feel free to use chicken or beef or, like I said, tofu. If you do use any of those alternatives, just be sure to cut them into like 1 inch or smaller cubes. That way the cooking times will be a little bit closer. And if you do end up using something other than shrimp, please let me know in the comments so I can let you know the best way that you can cook that. So the first thing we're going to need to do, obviously, is get our water boiling. And you're just going to go ahead and fill up your pot with about 4 cups of water. We're going to be using a little bit more water than the instructions on the box would call for, because we're actually going to be using a little bit of our pasta water in the recipe later. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started behind me. The water is definitely going to take the longest amount of time to get started, so I go ahead and put that on high heat. If you want, you can add about a teaspoon of salt to your water, and that adds a little bit of flavor to the pasta and also prevents it from sticking together. So I'm also going to do that real fast. Okay. So the most important thing to do while you're cooking is obviously to prep your ingredients. So the first thing we're going to do is peel and devein our shrimp. I used this frozen brand. Normally I would buy it fresh, but because this frozen variety was like $3 a pound or something ridiculously cheap, I decided that was going to be what I was going to make today. So what we're going to do, this is easy peel shrimp, so you're just going to remove this outer layer and then basically pinch just at the base of the tail, and pinch down here, and then just pull, and it should come right out. And then discard the skin, and then if you're using fresh raw shrimp as I am, you're going to want to remove this dark nasty stripe down the center here, because as Dwight Schrute would say, did you know that was fecal matter? So go ahead and just pull out all of the poop. So we're just going to quickly peel all the shrimp. Now this would be a good time if you're using chicken or beef to go ahead and get that cut up as well. This is the worst part about cooking is honestly the preparation part, because it takes a long time sometimes. So yeah, just go ahead and peel your shrimp. I did a few earlier to practice. Sometimes your shrimp, if you're using easy peel, won't actually come easy peelable. When that happens, it's just easier to kind of break it and pull the tail off first. Oops, that one didn't work. That literally pulled in half. We're just going to toss the bottom half of that because it's not going to be very viable. See if we can get this out of here. There we go. Just half a shrimpy. So, I used to think that peeling shrimp was like super gross. Actually, just touching any type of meat is super gross, but especially shrimp because the poop was still in it. Which is why normally I would buy my shrimp. If it did come frozen, I would buy it pre-peeled, just because I hate this part so much. But unfortunately, the pre-peeled variety was not on sale when I was buying shrimp for this recipe. So I decided that the best thing to do would just be to get some and peel it myself. You can also peel out that poop line by just grabbing it with the shell as you pull away, and that should also pull the whole thing out as well. Okay, so a couple more to go here. Ooh, that's a big one, nasty, gross. So, just get this nice and peeled. Sometimes you get really unlucky and the easy peel shrimp will like still have half a shrimp head on it, and that's really scary and gross. And that would be another reason why I don't normally like this one. Don't like dealing with unpeeled shrimp. But like I said, as long as you're using some type of raw variety, I am honestly not a stickler for using 100% fresh ingredients. And plus, I live in Ohio, so it's not like the seafood that I'm getting is like super duper fresh anyway, because the nearest ocean is like literally 8 hours away, and I'm pretty sure you don't want to eat like much of anything that comes out of Lake Erie at this point in time. I know it's getting better, but okay, let's see how many. One more here. I just let my shrimp thaw in the refrigerator today, in a little bit of a salt bath. That kind of helps the shrimp keep their shape. I've heard that you're not supposed to thaw shrimp in standing water. It should be in water that is constantly running. But honestly, I wanted my shrimp to thaw a little bit slower than that because I didn't have time to thaw it when I got home from work today. All right, I think that's everybody. Yep. Okay. Okay, so that's all of our shrimp. I'm going to go ahead and just move these guys over to the side for now. Looks like our water is just about ready to start boiling. So the next thing we're going to do is get our sauce ready. Now, I'm making this sauce from a mayonnaise and sweet ginger base. I absolutely love this mayonnaise because it doesn't taste quite as oily as some of the other mayonnaises out there. And then this ginger people sweet Thai ginger sauce is literally so amazing. I put it on everything. So I definitely highly recommend, if you aren't using that kind today, to get this in the future because it's awesome. They're not even a sponsor. Honestly, I just really, really love that sauce. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, my cutting board over here, move some of the stuff out of the way. We're going to be mincing our garlic. Now, mincing garlic is another thing that I hate doing, and like I said, normally buy it pre-minced, but it's super easy, so I don't even know why I do that, because fresh garlic actually does make things a lot better. So the first thing we're going to do, sorry, I keep hitting the microphone, is we're going to smash it with the side of our knife, and then we're going to cut off the top and the bottom here. Try to smash it a little bit better. Okay, see how it's like sort of smashed a little bit. And then we're just going to do a really rough chop of that. A couple of these didn't have skin on them for some reason. Sometimes when you pull the garlic out of the bulb, you get really lucky and the garlic just comes out pre-peeled, which is kind of what I got a couple of today. So yeah, we're just gonna do a really quick fine mince here. And then see how these ones still have the skin on them. This is when the smash method is the most effective. Going to smash, get a nice satisfying crack out of it, and like literally the skin peels just off. Okay. So again, remove the top and the bottom, and then just do a really quick mince. And one thing that I learned, sort of, one of the first things I learned that was important to cooking was brushing up on your knife skills, because while I'm generally okay and don't ever mess up and cut myself, you never know when that day is going to be. So it's definitely always good to properly hold and handle your knives. And the best way to do that is to always grip it by the blade and not necessarily by the handle, and definitely never with the finger on top, because that's actually how you have the least amount of control. So go ahead and peel this. Hands are all sticky now. Okay. Ugh. Dry my hands real quick. Okay, sorry about that. Sometimes when you cook, you just need to take a second and wash your hands real quick, because things get out of control. This one doesn't miss to mince that well for some reason. We're just going to do a very rough chop, and I like to refer to my cooking as home style cooking, so I'm not sitting here making sure that my mince is totally perfect. I'm not a stickler for that kind of stuff, especially when I'm just cooking something really quick that can be made in 20-30 minutes. I don't want to spend all that extra time doing all that extra work when the final product basically tastes the same. The most important part is that they're relatively close to the same size, just for cooking reasons. But like I said, it doesn't need to be like every piece is 1/8 of an inch thick, or whatever. I'm sure Chef Ramsay would be yelling at me if he were here. Like, this is stupid. None of these are the same. Okay. So, just going to scoot our minced garlic to the side of our dish here, and then we're going to grab our bowl and throw our garlic in there. So you can see, like I said, mine is definitely far from perfect, but close enough. So I learned this really cool trick the other day with limes, where if you put them in the microwave, you can actually get like twice as much juice from them. And okay, I'll admit that originally I was like super skeptical of that, but then I tried it the other day, and oh my gosh, like it does make a huge difference. So pro tip time, microwave your limes, people, because it really makes a difference. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in for about 15 seconds. I kind of judge on the size of the limes that I've been getting are pretty small, so doing it any much longer than that will actually probably burn you. So we're going to go ahead and pop this in. And then I'm super sketchy, and I don't actually have a proper juicer, so I use this old top of a juicer that I once had in a shot glass, and it actually works really well. So we're just going to do that. If your lime is not like scalding hot, that's okay, but I definitely recommend that it should be warm to the touch. I'm going to put it in for another 10 seconds here. Okay. While that's going, we can go ahead and pour some of our ginger sauce in. I love this stuff, so I'm a little heavy-handed with it, but I'm going to put about a half cup. Let's just use it all. Screw it, we're going to use it all. So it's like, sorry I keep hitting the microphone. It's like a fourth to a half. So we're going to toss that, grab our lime. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this really well. Another thing you can do is roll your lime. We're just going to cut it in half. I mean, you can literally, when I cut into it, the juices like went everywhere. And it's like dripping on me now. So I'm just going to quickly get as much juice out of these as possible. If you're not using fresh lime, which is something that I frequently do, you're going to need about 2 to 3 tablespoons of lime juice. I actually don't always have fresh lime or fresh lemon on hand, so I do like to cheat a little bit and occasionally do buy those like prepackaged lemons and limes. Like it looks like the lemon and lime as the bottle. So there's about 2 tablespoons. Just squeeze out the rest of that in there. Okay. So add our lime juice. And then we're going to squirt in about half cup to a cup of mayonnaise. Sorry, excuse me. Alright, it's about a half cup. And then we're just going to stir this all together until a nice sauce forms. Okay. So you can see it's kind of liquidy and stuff. So it shouldn't be sticking to the sides. It should easily be pourable. So then we're also going to add some red pepper flakes. I like mine spicy, so I add a lot. And then some pepper. And some salt. My voice is repeating everything. Let's see. How can I fix that? Let's do. Can you hear me now? I'm not sure if that makes it any better. I apologize. I have no idea. I'm literally doing this live, so I don't know if any of this is actually working. Did that work? Did that help at all? Did that change something? Using the built-in mic now. Okay, so hopefully you can still hear me. Woohoo! Perfect. Thank you for letting me know about that, Marissa, because I have no idea. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and change that on my main mic as well. And hopefully I'll get that figured out in the future. Okay, so we're going to set aside our sauce for now and then just move this out of the way. Okay. So now we're going to hit the big stuff here and we're going to get cooking. I'm using this really bad electric skillet. I definitely recommend using a stovetop if you have one, because it's definitely going to be the quickest, best way to do this. I have mine already preheating. You're going to want to get it pretty hot because you want the shrimp to cook as fast as possible without burning. So we're going to go ahead and get this preheated. I don't know. So that's that. Grab my cutting board again. While that is preheating, we're going to go ahead and slice up our peppers. I've heard there's many different ways you can cut peppers. I've seen people cut around the top. I've seen people just go out the side. I like to do at the side method and then just remove these internal seeds. And then if you're really like trying to save your peppers, you can actually cut off this part as well if you're like super into saving. I usually just toss it because it's smaller. So we're just going to chop this up. I like to do slices, but you can dice or do whatever you want here. I'm just going to cut mine into small strips because as much as I like pepper, I don't love pepper by any means. So I'm just going to cut this up so if it's overwhelming to anybody, you can just easily pick it out. Honestly, the sauce is the key to this recipe, and you can definitely add any other vegetables to this dish that you want. I've added shallots and red onions before. Extra garlic is always good. I've seen people do everything from adding even like squash and such to this. So it's really whatever, fits your dietary needs the best. You can even not use pasta. You can use spaghetti squash or zucchini noodles, zoodles, or whatever they're called. So basically, this recipe is so versatile, but as long as you got the sauce on lock, you should be golden for something delicious. So we have our peppers cut up here. Feels like it's hot enough. Move this back over. Okay. So I'm using coconut oil in my dish instead of olive oil or like vegetable oil or anything, mostly because coconut oil is the healthiest. I've also used ghee in this recipe, which is kind of like an Indian butter, but I just feel like the taste goes really well with the shrimp, but definitely don't feel like it's a solid, you have to use coconut oil. You can use, like I said, any type of oil, olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever you have on hand will work. So we're going to do about a tablespoon of oil. Go ahead and put that in. Let that melt down a little bit. Now, like I said, the key is to get the pan really hot, and that'll help cook everything a lot faster and a lot more efficiently, and a lot more evenly as well. So while we're waiting on this, we're going to go ahead and get our noodles started. I'm using angel hair noodles. I definitely recommend that you use a thin noodle as well, just because those will cook a lot faster. I'm pretty sure angel hair noodles you only need to cook for like 5 minutes or something. 4 minutes. So for more tender pasta, boil for an additional minute. Well, perfect, because that's about all we need is about 4 to 5 minutes. And if you're anything like me, you'll have no idea how much spaghetti to actually use. So if you have, I'm not going to stand it up, that's a little precarious. If you have one of these fun toys, this circle in the center actually measures 1 serving size, and I've seen so many different, what is this called, a spaghetti scoop? I don't even know. These things pretty much all have this like hole in the middle, which I never realized. So we're basically just going to use that to measure out a serving here. Like seriously, how perfect is that? 1 serving of pasta goes in there. So we're going to go ahead and throw this into our pot. I'm typically not one to break my pasta because I really like to have it like a long, like Lady in the Tramp style pasta, but for the sake of this recipe, I'm just going to shove it all in there and hope that it all cooks evenly. Okay, so we'll get that started at 6:23-ish. So by now, our red pepper is ready to go in the skillet. Should be hot enough. Oh yeah, that's hot. All right, perfect. You want it to simmer, but definitely step away if it's going to be spattering at you. The key is to get it hot, but not too hot. So there's definitely a delicate balance, which I'm obviously still trying to figure out. Okay. So we're just going to get these sauteing here. How's that sizzle sound? I don't know if that's overwhelming or not. When I did the test of this, you could hear it, but it wasn't super loud. But I was also using this microphone, which was right in its face, so that could have something to do with why it was so loud on my test runs. I'm going to need to get this microphone thing figured out because I definitely don't want it to be super annoying and be repeating everything. So, okay. We're just going to let this cook for a few minutes. And then while we do that, we're going to go ahead and drain our shrimp. If you have been letting it thaw some more or just have it still in the water for whatever reason, we're just going to go ahead and pour that out. Wash my hands. Stir my noodles. So what you want here is for the red peppers to be like browning a little bit. Let me see if it's not too overwhelming. I guess that can show. Let me pick one of these pieces up. This is a good example of where it should be. It should be a little browned, a little bubbly, but not like burning by any means. So just get that even. And this will cook these peppers cook really fast. They're not like onions or whatever that you need to start well in advance, which is, as much as I don't love peppers, I do like how fast and efficient they are when it comes to cooking a really quick meal. Okay, so we're just going to scoot everything over to the side of our pan, and then we're going to add our shrimp. The next one. Okay, so just making sure that all of my shrimp don't have their poop lines and stuff in there, and they don't have any extra fins or extra pieces stuck on them, because those are going to be hard and not taste great. And then I missed one, so we'll just go ahead and freshly peel and devein this dude. Okay. So I'm pretty much done with that. And this. Sorry, I keep slamming that everywhere. Alright, so we're going to let this cook for a few minutes. Stir it a little bit. Try not to stir it into the peppers too terribly much. We want those peppers to be cooking like on the side and not overcooking. So we'll get those all settled in. Alright, so then the next thing we're going to do is get a little bit of our paprika here, and we're just going to basically season, I would say probably about a tablespoon or so. I'm going to stick them out. There we go. So about a tablespoon of paprika, and then just stir that in. Okay. I didn't realize this until the other day, but paprika is actually just like powdered red pepper. Who knew? So we're just really pumping up the red pepper taste and this pasta. Peppery, paprika, pasta. Alright, so we're just going to let that cook for a few more minutes. Our pasta should be about done, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab a measuring cup. I would say grab one that's about a half cup to a whole cup, and then we're literally just going to scoop out about a half to a whole cup of water from our pasta. And you can also do that like while you drain it. So I'm just going to go ahead and drain my pasta. I did say pour it out with my pasta water. Well, I'm just going to make it some fresh water. All this stuff out of there. Okay. So if you accidentally did what I just did and poured out your pasta water, that's fine. Just add a cup of water to the skillet. And then we're going to pour in the sauce that we made at the beginning. to stir everything together. Try to keep it in the pan. Basically what you want to do now is, now that the pasta, or the water, pasta water, whatever you ended up using, is in there, we're going to bring it back to a rapid boil, which may take an extra minute because mine, like I said, is a really crappy electric skillet. So if anybody is looking to donate to the Starving Chef, I would love a higher powered skillet so I can cook things at a faster rate for you guys on this end, so it's more accurate. Okay, so we're going to bring this back to a rolling boil. While we're bringing it back to a bubble, I'm going to show you a really cool trick that I learned. All you need is a shot glass and some scissors. This is not a drinking game, unfortunately. We're going to grind our parsley without a herb mill or an herb grinder or whatever you call this. So basically what you want to do is remove any of the extra stem that is on the leaves. I've already done most of that. There's a few that have a stem hiding. We're going to put about half of our parsley into our shot glass. Let's just put it all in there, screw it. Okay, give our shrimp here a nice stir. Let's come in it together. Okay, and then we are going to take our parsley filled shot glass, and then we're just going to take our scissors and literally just cut up the parsley in there. And you kind of have to do it slow at the beginning so you don't make a big mess and the parsley doesn't go flying everywhere. But once you kind of get it down a little ways. And this is seriously the most efficient way that I've ever chopped parsley before. And this works for all types of herbs as well. It doesn't have to be parsley. It could be basil, it could be thyme, or anything else you want to use this method of grinding your herbs with. So we're going to add about half of this to the pasta now. I just think it looks pretty, honestly, but it does add a little bit of flavor. And then we're going to stir it all together. Let a little bit more of the moisture evaporate, not evaporate. And then we're going to pour in our pasta that we strained a little bit ago. And then grab our pasta spoon here, and then just gently fold the noodles kind of into the sauce. And you still want this to be at a high heat because you want the noodles to kind of continue to absorb this liquid. Excuse me. Okay, so yeah, we're going to stir it in. You can kind of see how the pasta water, the sauce is already kind of soaking up into the noodles. I'm sure an alternative method to this recipe would just to be basically to cook it all in the same pan at once. I figured for the sake of the show it would be a little easier to cook the pasta separately, so that way you at least knew that your pasta was being cooked, and that way I knew that the pasta was being cooked. Okay, so the sauce is thickening up. The sauce will thicken the longer you let it stand, as with most pastas and sauces. So we're just going to continue to stir it until the sauce reaches the consistency that we want. And then we're just going to season a little more salt and pepper. I like a lot of salt and pepper. And I think that that's super important, that a lot of people who say that they can't cook, you know, the reason that they can't cook is just they don't know how to flavor anything. I like to live by the ratatouille philosophy, where anyone can cook. You just need to find someone to teach you and to do it with you. And that's why I'm here today, is to teach you guys how to do all that. So our pasta is pretty much absorbed most of the sauce. There's very little, just a little bit in the bottom of the pan, which is great, which is actually exactly where we want it. So I'm going to grab some bowls. And we're just gonna go ahead and serve it up nice and hot here. And like I said, if you're using beef or chicken or tofu or basically anything, it should also be done cooking probably around this point once you let it boil in the water for a little bit. And that actually might be the most efficient way to get it to cook the same rate as shrimp. So yeah, so it's just me cooking tonight. So I'm just going to serve myself one bowl and then I'll eat the leftovers tomorrow. But this is basically what you get. Clean up the edges here. I would lick it with my tongue, but I'm on TV basically. And so then, turn this down, move it out of the way here. Bye. I think the biggest secret that people forget or don't realize about cooking is just the final touch of parsley, and that literally makes it look so much more professional and just, I don't know, brighter and happier. Throw the rest into the bowl there. Let me grab a fork real quick. So yeah, this is a super simple dish. I'm pretty sure we got it done in about 30 minutes or less. I talked a little bit at the beginning, so I feel like it takes about 30 minutes. Once you kind of get the cooking under, control or whatever, you could definitely do it in probably about 15 if I didn't stand here and basically talk to a wall. So yeah, we're gonna do a quick taste test. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. Just grab a shrimp and a little bit of noodle. If I can pick it up, there we go. That came out really good. Not to toot my own horn, but those sauce, adds like the perfect amount of sweetness to spiciness, but it's also like kind of subtle in a way where you're not like, oh my god, there's mayonnaise in this. And you're just like, oh my god, this is like creamy and smooth and just all around delicious. So thank you guys for stopping in and cooking this first meal with me. I really appreciate everybody who dropped in and left a review or left a view. I'm curious to see what you guys thought about this and if there's any type of food that you guys would like to cook with me in the future. Right now I'm hoping that this is going to be a bi-weekly event, just depending on the type of reaction that I get from this one. And I just kind of enjoy talking to you guys while I do this because I already talk to myself while I cook anyway. So this is kind of just a natural transition into talking to actual people, which is crazy, I know. So yeah, if you have any recipes that you would like to learn and cook along with me, please leave me a comment. You can find me on Facebook at The Starving Chef. You can send me a picture of whatever food that you cooked by tagging me on The Starving Chef on Facebook or The Starving Chef blog on Instagram. You can add the hashtag Let's Cook so I can find your food later. Don't forget that you can tweet me at thestarvin_chef at Twitter. I was too poor to afford the G on that one. So, like I said, take a picture if you cook this along with me tonight because I would love to know how yours turned out as well and if it's as delicious as mine. Like I said, don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, StumbleUpon, basically anywhere that there's social media. I probably have a profile, so feel free to leave me a message wherever you are. And of course, don't forget to check out thestarvingchefblog.com where you can find the rest of my recipes, cooking tips and tricks, and other quick how-to videos. I had a really great time doing this with you guys tonight, and I hope that this will be a fun thing to do in the future. Thanks for coming. Enjoy!